Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and this will be a preview slash first impressions video of Spellforce 3. So I will tell you what this game is about, some of its main selling points and features, a couple of things that I, not really pet peeves, but a few minor criticisms that I have of the game so far, and I shall endeavour to get you acquainted with the game and tell you what it is, what it's basically like, and what it's basically about. So, to that end, let us go to the options menu first and see what we can see there. And before I get into praising and criticising the game, I would like to thank the developers quite a lot for providing me with a free copy of this title. So, that said though, this is not a sponsored video in any other regard, and I am free to say what I wish. So, let's go. First of all, the general options, text, audio, difficulty, stuff like that. Fair enough. Hide helmets, always a nice option. User interface. Decent options here. Click and fight time factor, slow motion. I played around a little bit with this. You'll see why it's relevant later. And I will have this on just because I play StarCraft and a bit of a madman, and we like everything precise and neat. Sound, a billion different options. I expected one, possibly two. We get a volume, a slider for buildings, so that's terrific. Display options. This might not look like a lot, but it's actually small in font, so there is actually quite a decent bit here. I'm going to turn this up really quickly, which I forgot to do. And, yep, alright, there we go. And controls, we'll get to that a little bit later. I have a problem with some of the controls here. As far as the camera panning speed is concerned, I recommend you increase that immediately up by a lot. And that's about it. So, actually, one more thing. Rotation speed as well. Okay. So, what is Spellforce 3? It is a sort of how do I put this? A jack of all trades, master of none in the RPG slash RTS category. So it is both an RPG and an RTS. It combines both, but it's a great game, don't get me wrong. I really like it, but it isn't predominantly one or the other. So it's sort of both, but makes sacrifices in both departments because it's not specifically one or the other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start up a new game on, let's see, well, Circle Mage is ridiculously hard. Hard is challenging, and normal is what I'm going to play on because I'm going to focus on other things rather than just playing. So, here we go. I've played through the campaign and, not the entire campaign obviously, otherwise this would be a review. I've played through the first few missions, quote-unquote, of the campaign. You don't really have missions considering it's an RPG, but I've played through a decent bit of the campaign. So, essentially, what is very important is this is a very rich story and lore-wise game. So the reason I'm starting up a new game to show everything is because, well, the first mission shows the game remarkably well in both the strategy aspect and the RPG aspect. So it's a great way to showcase everything without spoiling any of the story, which is really, really good. A minor spoiler for the very first mission: when you finish it, the game begins. As in, you get the character creation screen when you finish the game. So, you know, I said the game is a mixture of two genres. Well, it is that, very literally, and I will skip through this in order to, again, not spoil any of the story, even though you can sort of read through it if you wish. But, essentially, we've been sent to dispatch some rebels, and it begins rather mundanely, as you might expect. The last game I saw to have tried something like this, a mix of RPG and RTS, was Warcraft 3, pretty much. And to what extent is debatable, but yeah, I'd say that the last game I've played that tried something like this was Warcraft 3, and it obviously did it remarkably successfully. So
lovely piece of earth this is.
I don't believe I've seen a game try something like, or a developer even try something like this in the near,
you got it.
or in recent memory.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Good.
so
then let's find Private Carpenter.
you are, at least for the purposes of this mission, a general figure, and well, let's just talk to this private, and this is how dialogue is done through these things.
Say, sir. We've captured 2 of the
See, and
rebels
yes,
in
it
the
is
woods,
interactive,
but
so this is
they
the
wouldn't
RPG
talk.
aspect of it.
All we know is that
You have your
there've been
party
some
of 3
troubles
characters.
within the,
This is going to be the
resistance.
4th one,
That
so
might be to our
pretty
advantage.
standard, right, for an RPG. So
Where are those 2 rebels you captured?
click
I
through all
am
this.
afraid
The captives are
poison.
dead.
They
Yada
had it
yada
in their
yada.
Cowards.
The prisoners wouldn't, as you might.
And that's what
Again,
we'll
don't
sir.
want to spoil anything.
Good work, Private.
Oh,
And
understood.
we
Get over here, man.
get
Yes,
this
you.
cool little speech.
For those of
So,
you who don't know who this is, General
which is something I
Centurion
will
Nori,
showcase in a
spy
bit,
master
is
of the
there is
Queen and
also
commander of the
loot
Wolf
in the
Guard.
game. Much like
He's
there
the
was
one
in
in charge
Warcraft
of this
3, if you
operation,
remember,
and
but
from now
I
on, you'll
understand
follow
that
his
as
orders.
somewhat of an
Understood.
older game and perhaps not
Yes.
inclusive
First
enough
we
of
need to-
comparison for everyone.
We're under
Essentially, there is loot, much like you'd
Please,
see in Pillars of
keep it together.
Eternity, much like you
We'll
would
show
see
them what it means to take on the
in
crown.
Divinity: The Original Sin. The reason I mention these games is because they have a sort of similar camera perspective, and because of the camera, really. Okay, bad example, but they're somewhat similar in that you can sort of see the similarities between them right off the bat, and the story somewhat reminds me of those games in that it's in that style. But as you can see, I have an entire army, plus the hero units. That's pretty cool. And a decent bit of the game is going to be like this. Word to the wise, you will have also segments where you just move out with your party
I know how to defend
of
myself,
3 or
baby
4
brother.
members
Well,
and
thanks for asking.
trek
Quiet.
through a dungeon or
If the harm
whatever,
is
and
on
we will get to that
location,
in a
it won't be
bit.
long,
Perhaps
Mother.
I will
Let's
show
begin.
you, but
Carl,
yeah, there are
get
also
the
bits
hunting
where you
cabin
have an
manned,
army.
and see if we have any
Now,
lumberjacks among
when I
our
mentioned
workers.
this is a master of
We
all
need
trades,
wood.
Understood. There's
jack of all trades, and
plenty of
master of
fish in these
none,
waters, too,
I
so maybe.
was
Sure, whatever
more
helps.
so focusing, or more so meant the strategy aspect, because while you do have
Good. Now let's
buildings,
build the barracks.
and while you do construct stuff, it's somewhat limited. For example, I'll show you. You click here, and we have the orders to build a barracks. This is massive. Obviously, you're not going to be building 3 of these and getting a 3 racks build and rushing the enemy or whatever.
Huh?
No, it's somewhat simple. The reason being here, or the excuse given, is that you have a quartermaster or whatever his name is in town, and he manages all the workers for you and the resource gathering. You just tell him what you need, what needs building, and he'll send the workers to do it.
Yes.
Which is fair enough. So what you're left with is a little bit of base building. You see tier 1, 2, and 3 buildings, not that extensive, right? So what you're left with is control of an army and the recruitment of said army.
Right.
Now that is somewhat interesting. So I don't think I'll upset anyone, developers included, when I say that the focus of this game is the hero units. I mean, for God's sake, you are one of the hero units, or your character is the general of the army, however you want to call him. I believe you start off with the rank of corporal, if I remember correctly. But you are the main hero and the main
Yes.
dude. Everything else you build is sort of cannon fodder.
Made up your mind.
Be the least nice
Fair enough.
way of describing
Now
it,
let's
but
man
it
them.
is somewhat
The quicker
fair
we
at
get those
any
soldiers
rate.
armed, the better.
So here we go.
We need to
We're going to
gather
start
more
building
wood,
arsonists,
Commander.
which are range units. But by the time they get built, we should
Where are you from? We never
go in
had the
and
chance to
grab
talk
some
back in
resources
Greek.
around
Some village in this
or in
calendar.
the surrounding
Don't
area
you
as
know
well.
Hmm.
Here's
And how did
the
you get
slight
the Lord
issue
Marshal
though.
to recommend you?
Microing these units is
Gwen,
not
just
that
Stop pestering him, okay?
All right.
easy to achieve.
Take him down.
Here's the thing though, you don't need to micro these units. In the archers aren't stupid most of the time and will not run into melee combat. You can, and this is especially important for the hero units, sort of maneuver them into proper positions to get them to do everything that they want them to do. However, the main thing here is these abilities, and that's the most important piece of micro that you can, well, that you will have to pay attention to in this game. The Arbalists, okay, it's Arbalists in this case, but depending on which faction and which race you play, and yes, there are multiple choices of those as well. I'll show you the skirmish mode a bit later. This is truly a massive title, and there is a lot to show, and there is a lot for your money as well, which is always nice. So,
what is it?
The archers that you have in the army, the infantrymen, the cavalrymen later down the line, and all those lovely things, they'll sort of take care of themselves, more or less. You can, of course, if you want, micro them into perfection, and sometimes they will have problems. Generally, the AI is really good, right? Which is what surprised me quite a lot. Generally, the AI is really good at handling itself in combat. And we got our first lead, so I'll have to talk about that in a second as well. But,
I've heard that House
essentially,
with this cause.
the AI will handle the basic minions, or the basic army units, will handle themselves decently well, and will maneuver decently well in the army itself.
Doesn't care about that.
Moving around your hero units, obviously,
it's because he's hoping to
it would be best if you do that. But these abilities up here are set up rather ingeniously. Now, here's the thing. You have a lot of them now, as the game is sort of showing off, more or less, what the game is going to be like in the mid and late period, and you get a bit of a tutorial later down the line after the character creation and all that good stuff. They're set up kind of like the way you'd set them up in a MOBA. QWER, and then below that, ASDF, and below that, ZXC and V, I believe. Which is brilliant. You can change all the control schemes and rebind everything if you like, of course. It takes a little bit of getting used to.
Then why?
But it is actually brilliant. These are very important abilities. They can change fights, right? You saw me fight up a load of rebels up there. If I didn't use Whirlwind along with Heal along with Deadeye, I would have lost that fight. Case in point, right here, we are heavily outnumbered, right? Let's see what we can do to change that. Do that, cast that, and there you go. So it really does, in more ways than one, resemble a MOBA in a very good way. It makes it easy to control. Not exactly easy. Easy to get into, but not simple at all, especially on the harder difficulty levels. But it makes it not, what's the word I'm looking for, not annoying to use all these abilities, and you have quite a lot of them. Speaking of which, let's get down to those abilities and the inventory. So, in the middle button here, you have Party Management. So, all the various pieces of loot that you collect, and you can't edit this general, everything he has is locked, so you can edit the other ones though. You have various pieces of loot that you can collect and put them on the characters. So right now, unfortunately, we don't have anything that anyone can equip, but if we had a warrior character here with a lot of strength and dexterity, he could equip this poleaxe, which is actually really, really good. Or this battle staff if we had a slightly different mage. Yes. So, or like maybe like a rogue-ish character as well. Here you can have the economy overview of various things, and it's not entirely useful though, as well, it is somewhat useful, but you seldom control any of these guys in any of the workers, right? You can select them and move them around. Well, actually, can you? No, actually, you don't control them at all. You can't even give them orders. It's entirely up to the quartermaster to do that. All right, that was good to know.
Yes.
I thought that you could actually move them around individually.
What is it?
Apparently not. All right. Not quite sure what that's supposed to represent, but whatever it is, fine. Actually, remarkably distracting. I believe that means that the thing is out of resources. Alright, now let's take a look at... well, no, not yet. I was going to say let's take a look at the level up tree and the abilities.
Fine.
But we're going to have to do that when we actually level up. So we have something of resources to collect over here. And you'll get a chance now to see how
That could come in handy.
the AI reacts and how the AI plays on in situations when there's quite a few
Right. Good. That
men
should
or quite a
suffice.
few
Yes, sir. That's where
soldiers
Tahar's hiding.
that are
Right.
moving
Then
as
let's
one
take some
unit
men with
across
us
the
and put an
map.
end to this bastard.
It's
We
nothing
should be able to
too
blast those
spectacular, but it
barricades
gets the
now.
job done, and they don't get stuck most of the time. So, there we go. We're going to take a look at this as well. Interestingly enough, this is different loot than last time that I picked up. So, that intrigues me, like, a lot.
Fine.
One thing I gotta give credit to the game is it incentivizes exploration quite a bit. We're gonna see that a little bit later in the sort of more RPG-ish segment with without the army and just the hero characters in the dungeon. But it incentivizes exploration quite a lot, and it makes it so the loot you pick up really seems worthwhile and looks epic, right? Even this basic halberd that I collected, right? It's really good compared to like a regular sword or something. Mainly because most swords are one-handed weapons, and this is a two-handed one, and it's quite slower. But they all seem worthwhile, right? And even this common stuff that you collect isn't actually that common. The reason for this is not every enemy you fight drops something, which in turn makes the entire process of collecting stuff a lot more exciting. If every now and again you get a drop, that makes that one drop particularly exciting, right? But if every bear you kill drops 3 bear asses, then it's not a particularly exciting job of collecting them, right? Well, in this game, you could go through... I mean, you could literally murder a massive, massive army and not collect anything, but go off the beaten track a little bit, find a nice golden chest and a wonderful piece of armor or a hat or something in it. So the point being, it incentivizes exploration, and it rewards it really, really well, because the gear is great. So far, every single piece of gear that I found made me go, useful, or I can either sell that for a decent bit of money, or I could,
There it is.
I don't know, do something else with it. Put it on one of my soldiers, put it on, or save it for later, maybe. Stuff like that. So yeah, most gear that you collect, or almost all gear that you collect, is worthwhile in some respect. However, since I've praised the game so much, to go back to pointing out a few things that I would that I don't really like.
Whose lands were these?
Namely,
House Vestel, a minor house.
there was
The house
recently
is
I played
patriarch and his
Divinity
wife got
2,
taken by the red
and the problem
fever,
I had
and
with
they
that
didn't
game
have an
was
heir.
the camera.
Interesting.
However, I fixed it by rebinding the rotate camera key to control. It was by default on the middle mouse button, but honestly, I have this Razer Naga, and the middle mouse button seems to be not really working all too well. It's not that old a mouse, but it's showing signs of use, right? Well, you can't do that here. What, rebind it to something else? No, you don't really have a button that lets you do what I was able to do in, what was the game I mentioned? Divinity, right? So what I would do in Divinity, and I wish I could pause this game for a minute to explain this, but we're going to do it after the fight. And yeah, the game is entirely in real time. You can't pause it, issue orders, and then continue fighting. Which again, it takes getting used to a little bit, but after you finish the first mission, the RPG segment in it, and maybe a little bit after the character creation thing, tutorial, I think you're gonna like it. Well, certainly I have. So initially I thought maybe this would be better if it was turn-based and I could pause and issue orders and all that. And I realised, well, hold on, that would actually break the action quite a bit. It would make the game unnecessarily slow. Having everything happen, you know, dynamically in front of your eyes, and having to use these hotkeys as you would more or less like in a like a MOBA, actually makes the game very exciting. And so yeah, I was definitely a fan of it after a little bit of hesitation initially, shall we say. So usually I lose quite a few troops here because there's a pretty damn big battle. Let's get some reinforcements getting constructed over here. Back to the army, micro. And there we go. Let's move up. And there you go. That's basically the extent of a complicated engagement. Mind you, I have not that many different unit type in this army, so and for now I think we have just arsonists and recruits, right?
That's all.
The two royal soldiers aren't that important,
that
but regardless, we've
Good
crushed the
question.
rebellion, at least
I'd wager
inside the fort for
fortress.
now.
With a bit of luck, they haven't heard the fighting.
Right,
Irrelevant.
let's all that is
Yes.
relevant. Let's take a look at the skill trees, which are quite important. So, different skill trees for different characters, obviously, or specifically for different classes, but some general theme remains. Brutality, black magic is, I think,
Yes.
present everywhere. Well, actually, no, it isn't for this guy. You have, and you'll see this later in the character creation screen, you have 6 different things to choose from. It's not classes, it's a combination of abilities and unlockable abilities specifically. So you sort of tailor your own class the way you want, which is quite nice. You have different attributes that you can assign points to, and these are fairly simple. When you mouse over them, you'll see what they do. And you have abilities like I mentioned, so I'm going to pick, let's see, I'm going to pick leadership. Alright, and
Yes.
for you, I'm going to pick, let's see, say that thing, and apply, and I will give you some strength. For her, we have brutality. We only have 1 on brutality. Let's go with a serrated arrow. What I went with last time, at least, and some dexterity. We have 1 more character. All right. Verdict is good, is because it's holy damage. You'll see why in a bit, not to spoil anything. All right, there we go. So now,
Right away.
the orders are for mission is to get just these 4 characters in on their RPG segment. Of course, they're going to need to murder this guy first. And tell you what, they're going to do it alone without anybody's help. Yes, the army is going to stay back while they're doing this. Am I doing this sort of to show off more than anything else? Maybe. But regardless, there we go. We've somewhat easily dispatched of myself. Which is something I just noticed.
I'll take a look.
Is that a
That
me
must be
reference?
it. Good.
That's not a me reference,
We'll
is
go in
it?
alone.
Sir?
If we march in with an army,
It's
we
a
might
me
as well
reference. The
help
game
them.
gets 10 out of 10, and I'll recommend it to
Correct.
everyone for the rest of my
Let's
life.
move.
But That's not a me reference. Look, I'm going to choose to treat it as a me reference, but
Commander.
I know better. Hey, look, maybe one day when I get to some level of YouTube fame, I could get a me reference in a game. But for now, no. Alright, let's send the guys in and show you the next segment. I believe there is nothing else to show the base building. No, I don't think so. Here we go. So, as you might have noticed, there was a small billion amount of things that I needed to cover. And I think I've covered pretty much everything. I want to be as thorough as possible in listing all the
I'll take a look.
Fine.
different aspects to the game. At least from a sort of general basic perspective. You do also have obviously potions and stuff, but I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. So,
Undead!
ultimately, let's get down into, since I believe I've covered pretty much everything, and you'll see in practice how some of that exploration looks like now. I'm going to find various pieces of loot here. So let's take a look at. Let's take a look at, but let's talk a little bit about what I think about the game. So its story is a very strong driving force, right? And that's good. That's good. I like games with good stories. Furthermore, it's a combination of my two favourite genres, RPGs and RTSs. So it's on the right track, definitely. Huge amount of potential. I would like to see some
Did you hear that?
minor fixes in terms of the camera
Whatever it is, it plays into our
work,
hands.
and
They won't
I've
let us
also
come in.
noticed that Bernard or Anselm, I haven't noticed it with Gwen and that's not myself, that becomes myself later. But I've noticed it with ranged characters mostly, and sometimes with Anselm in the tutorial, that they don't cast their arrows when I click on them. Usually, so you'll see this is what I call sort of the RPG segment, because this is practically Divinity, just not turn-based, right? I mean, it really is. You have different sort of abilities, move, tanks in the front, archers in the rear, and all that. The standard charade. But I've noticed that they don't really not in this case, but when there's huge armies, that they don't really follow my orders all too well sometimes. So I'm hoping that in the near future that gets fixed. It's not very common. As you can see, I just fired 2 arrows and it worked perfectly, right? There is a little bit of a delay naturally. There is a cast time. There is for time that he needs to realise. Oh, right, he's ordering me to do stuff. That's expected. My problem is he didn't cast it at all, right? Which is, you will agree, somewhat of an issue. So there's that. I'm hoping that gets removed from the game, that gets fixed and polished out by the full release.
What are these
And here we go. We
That's a good question.
found some extra loot. I believe this
Maybe
is the
there's
same
a
loot I
reason
found
why
last time.
Tahar picked this place for his
Check. I
rebellion.
think this glistening mace seems rather familiar. With that. We got a longsword as well, but it's nowhere near as good. Dagger is for a different character, let's just say. And yeah, I'd really like to have the shield as well. Elven short bow is better. I think last time I found a better bow than this. But no, alas, alack. It is what we have now. Alright. Now, as far as the strategy elements are concerned, I don't know. I don't mind anything in particular. It's just that it's... It's difficult to phrase. It's difficult to phrase. The fact that it makes sacrifices on the RPG level, I'm okay with. Because it's perfectly serviceable. The RPG aspect of it is really damn good. The loot is very satisfying to pick up, and it's relevant. It's very rare that I'll find trash that's utterly useless and I'll just want to drop it. Mostly I'll either want to sell it for a decent bit of profit, or not to sound entirely like a Ferengi, or I'll actually equip it or save it for later, like I already mentioned. I'm repeating myself a little bit. The enemy variety is rather nice as well, and I haven't even begun to get into the other two factions, the other two races in the game, the Elves and the Yorks, each featuring their own unique units, playstyles, and stuff like that. So, as far as the amount of content is concerned, it is really good.
Yes.
Great, in fact. The weakest part of the game for me, though, would be the strategy. It seems... I don't know, it seems just too... At least on the normal and hard difficulty, it just seems too simplistic to matter. In that I didn't really care for it in any way, shape or form, more or less. Right? Because I just completely felt indifferent to the RTS element, because it was sort of there and I did... It came down to building reinforcements, mostly, right?
Must be further down the caves.
Every time I played around with it, it came down to building reinforcements and sending them to my blob of army. Which... I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really cool that I don't just run around with 2 or 4 guys in a party killing absolutely everything. Which is ironically exactly what I'm doing right now, but sometimes you're not doing that, right? That's at least that's what I'm getting at. It's nice, it really is nice, and it changes up the pace and the dynamic, and it serves its purpose quite fine. But it's somewhat weak as well, in the sense of there's not a lot to it. Now maybe, again, this is a first impressions video and not much more than that, maybe later down the line you do get more stuff, but it seems unlikely at this stage. So, yeah, I'll leave that to... basically, the way I'm going to phrase it is this. The game is really good, and it's not a huge detriment to it, but if you came to this game for the RTS elements, you will be somewhat disappointed, whereas the RPG part of it is really, really strong. There we go, composite bow. I'm going to equip that really quickly on you, I believe, yes. And I'll get you the lance, just because... Actually, it's lance not that good. Yeah, this is just a lot better, never mind. Right, and you see, well, you take a look at the rest of this stuff and you're like, well, all that is useless, right? Not necessarily. This is pretty good for two-handed. It's just that I don't have a two-handed character in the party right now. The rest of this stuff is really expensive. That's almost 1,000 gold. In the entirety of the mission, I've collected 600.
Right.
That's, by the way, including the gold that I got for murdering an entire encampment of rebels. So, yeah. There is a decent bit of money to be made from all of that. Oh, and
Onwards.
Speaking of good loot, a staff. A really pretty one. There you go.
Yes.
Congratulations. But acquiring said staff. And again, a little bit of an issue with the camera. So, to summarise, would I recommend the game? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. For... Oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Yeah, fight them. Fight, never mind, fight him. Chaos. Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see. Oh, God, this is a disaster. And it all went so well, and then it fell apart in the end.
Let's go.
Okay, we're good. Just heal everyone. Heal everyone, we'll be good. Fine. So, would I recommend the game? Absolutely, absolutely. There is a metric ton of content for you to enjoy, and in the purposes of not spoiling anything else, with regards to the story, I am now going to finish this this part of the showcase, and I will jump into a skirmish mode. Because beyond this door lie spoilers, and we're just going to leave it at that. So, see you in a second. And here we go. So, we will be 2 orcs fighting against 1 human opponent on easy difficulty, because I have no intention of paying attention to what I'm doing, and also talking about what I'm doing, which, look, if you ever recorded YouTube videos, you know that your skills at RTSing drop by as much as 70% when constructing sentences while trying to construct plans of total map-wide domination. Yes. Science. Alright, at any rate. There is also multiplayer, naturally, and you can play multiplayer. What else would you do with multiplayer? Now, what I mean is, you could also... I've forgotten what I'm supposed to be building. You could, not could, but you do also, I said I have no idea what I'm doing, and apparently that is true, because I'm just focusing on what I'm supposed to build. There we go. Tell you what, that'll do. That'll do. What's my ally doing? Maybe that's a... Quite literally nothing. Okay, you will get a tutorial for the base building part, which will explain it a lot better than I do. But for now, suffice it to say, I'm doing better than the AI. I didn't expect them to be this brain dead. At any rate, you can play multiplayer as well. You can also, as indicated by this, play the campaign together with a friend. So, what I was gonna say is there is multiplayer. There is also co-op. Is one not necessarily including the other if it's online? If both are online, yes. But just to sort of provide clarification, there is multiplayer. There is co-op. Multiplayer skirmish battles, co-op in the campaign itself. There we go. Graphically, which is the only thing I haven't touched on the game, this is almost a review. This is the most extensive and thorough first impressions I've ever done. But a big release like this deserves it, and to hell with the fact that I've been given the chance to review something like this is I guess warrants it, shall we say? All right. Council formations, no, not really. There's a lot to edit. At any rate, so graphically acceptable. Look, it could be worse, could be better. This is on the higher settings, I believe. The foliage looks really, really nice, actually. So I have to compliment the game on that. The foliage looks really, really great. The units themselves, they're... Look, it's good. It's pretty good. There's this sort of like filter, I believe, over the screen that makes it look a bit. I don't know. It decreases the contrast, I think, a little bit. So doing away with this filter may have made the game a little bit brighter, a little bit more colourful. I mean, a little bit more colourful than the pans over to something like this. Yeah, but you take a look at that, and it's not very colourful, is it? So, as far as the colours are concerned, though I am partially colourblind, so who am I to say, but this sort of filter across the screen that you get, at least I think it's a filter or something like that, makes the game a little bit bland looking. Actually, is the filter, or is it just a part of the display settings? And can I change it before I make myself look like an utter idiot and a fool? I don't think so. So it looks to me like gamma or something. When you increase the gamma, the sort of contrast sort of decreases. It kind of looks to me like something like that. So... yeah, no. I don't think I can change that, but yeah, there you go. Other than that, the game looks graphically pretty. In terms of graphic fidelity, it looks pretty damn nice. And I have nothing ill to speak of it.
Fair enough. Let's make this quick.
Where do we build this? I think down here somewhere would be fine. All right.
Our warriors are
Sort of
hungry.
mostly in
Let's
one
find
area.
more food.
And we have more troops to assemble. What's my AI? What's the AI doing?
Good.
Construct 2 logging cabins. I don't think I need them. I have plenty of I need food. More so than anything else. Yeah. I have an idea of how to get it. Fishery. Is there fish in there, though? No, there isn't. Ah. So that's my problem, alright? Alright, fair enough. At any rate, I think I've shown you quite enough of the game itself to warrant a first impressions video. If I go any longer, it'll turn into a proper review, and I am not exactly in the business of doing those for well, several reasons. At any rate, ultimate final verdict. The strategy element is a little bit off-putting, not really, maybe a bit different than what I expected, maybe, and somewhat, I don't know. I guess just different. We'll just leave it different from what I expected, and maybe a little bit weaker than the rest of the game. But on the whole, there is a metric ton of content for your money. It is a fantastic game, and I fully recommend it. If you choose to pick it up, a link will be down in the description below to the Steam page for you to pick this game up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video, this rather exhausting video on pretty much everything I could think of on the topic. So I hope to see you again soon.
Let's find more food.
Have fun, take care, and like I said, subscribe if you want to stay tuned with the rest of the content I produce on the channel, and well, that'll be pretty much it. Take care, have fun, bye-bye.